Business News now. Charles Pellegrin is joining us. He's got to focus today on US-Africa trade, something completely different. The ties between the two, what to expect in that space with this new Trump administration, of course, Charles.
That's right, Stuart. And just like with other trade relationships, US-Africa trade could also be upended by Donald Trump's protectionist view of the world, as well as his habit of using trade sanctions as a way to extract concessions or simply punish partners. One key aspect of that relationship with sub-Saharan Africa is the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which was signed into law in 2000 under the Clinton administration. This basically gives countries that are beneficiaries of the law preferential access to the U.S. market, meaning lower or even non-existent import duties. There are conditions, though. Having a market-based economy is one, while another provision says that countries' activities need to be in line with U.S. security and foreign policy interests. As of the start of last year, 32 countries were eligible. Overall, AGOA has contributed to considerably increased trade between the U.S. and those African countries, more than quadrupling in its first 15 years. But all of this could end as early as September 2025. When the legislation comes up for renewal.
Yeah, as we saw there, 32 countries beneficiaries. But there are some countries, aren't there, which have benefited more than others, notably South Africa.
And especially South Africa's auto sector. Motor vehicles actually represent about 22% of all South African exports to the United States. That's worth just short of $1.9 billion, so just behind precious metals. And thanks to AGOA, 86,000 people are directly employed. And 125,000 people have jobs with subcontractors or suppliers. So global car makers have a presence in South Africa, notably BMW, Ford, Mercedes, Toyota, and Isuzu. And frosty relations between Washington and Pretoria since Trump's taken office could mean AGOA might not be renewed come September. Listen to Isuzu's boss in South Africa.
If we were to be pulled out of AGOA, it will be sending a message to the continent, because if you think of the role South Africa plays in AGOA, it's quite big. And if South Africa, which is the most industrialized country in the continent, were to be kicked off of AGOA, does America want to engage Africa? That will be signaling. If you look in the automotive space, 99% of the automotive through AGOA are from South Africa.
So why then, Charles, would Donald Trump not want to renew AGOA for South Africa?
There are a number of reasons here. He's criticized a recent land law in the country claiming it discriminates against white people. There have also been widening differences on foreign policy with South Africa, predating Trump, leading the charges with South Africa leading the charges against Israel at the International Court of Justice, and also the fact that South Africa is keeping closer ties with both Russia and China, at least closer than the United States would like. And finally, Donald Trump has campaigned on the promise to bring back manufacturing blue-collar jobs to American shores, especially in the auto industry. The South African auto sector is just one example among many other African industries that could be hard hit by Donald Trump's trade policies. For them, it's an almost existential threat. On the U.S. side, though, less than 1% of total U.S. imports by value actually enter the country via AGOA.
Meanwhile, US trade policy changes under Donald Trump are also affecting other parts of the world as well.
Yes, we've talked at length about the delayed 25% tariffs on all imports from Mexico and Canada, which could really have a strong impact on the auto industry there. Automakers like Ford have built their supply chain around the idea of a free flow of goods across North America. Its CEO, Jim Farley, meeting with U.S. lawmakers on Wednesday to raise his concerns about those tariffs and to illustrate just how all tied together the U.S., Mexican, and Canadian auto industries are. Our correspondents in Mexico sent us this report.
Every day, this factory produces hundreds of parts to soundproof and protect new vehicles sold in the United States.
This little piece crosses the border about 4 times, and it's something no one sees. So imagine a rim or a steering wheel. It's much more.
Just like this little part, the Mexican automotive sector's entire production chain depends on suppliers and customers in the US and Canada. For now, this Mexican company is maintaining production at the usual rhythm. But faced with the threat of tariffs from Donald Trump, this CEO has put new investment on hold.
My first reaction was to talk to the other managers, to tell them that all projects were on hold while we saw what would happen. In our case, there's a machine that we had to buy from the United States. I called the manufacturer to tell him that we were going to wait to see how things developed so as not to be impacted.
Mexican automobile companies export 88% of their goods to the United States. Nonetheless, President Trump accuses Mexico of opening the door to Chinese companies. So as to reassure him, the sector is reorganizing its supply chains and reducing reliance on some suppliers.
We are working with the World Bank to strengthen the supply chain and to have many more Mexican or Mexican secondary companies to supply this automotive sector.
Donald Trump has just imposed 25% taxes on aluminium and steel. For the moment, other key imports like agricultural products are spared. But economists say the imposition of across-the-board tariffs would cause the Mexican economy to contract by 1 to 2%.
And Charlene's for us with a quick look at the markets.
Markets in Europe opening either higher or flat on the major European bourses. The UK economy growing 0.1% in the final quarter of 2024, ahead of expectations. The FTSE slightly lower, as you see there. Also contributing to higher share prices in Germany and France is the increased prospect of seeing an end to the war between Russia and Ukraine, following talks between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
Charlene, thanks very much. Charles Pellegrin with the business of France 24.